Hi, it's Chris. Have you ever noticed that the barbecue stuff is right next to the RYOBI aisle? So why don't they have a grill carving knife? Anybody that's been watching my channel for a while knows that I like to come up with new ideas for RYOBI tools and prototype them and try to convince RYOBI to go ahead and make them. I think RYOBI is missing out on an opportunity to make a carving knife for cutting bread, meat, filleting fish, cutting foam, things like that. A carving knife is not that far off from their core competencies. I made two different prototypes, one that uses the 18-volt battery and one that uses the 4-volt USB battery. I really like this Cast King knife because it has a very sharp blade. It's great for filleting fish and cutting beef and things. It's got a nice feel to it. It comes with two different blades, nice and solid. The only downside is that it has its own battery, and I hate having all these different batteries to keep charged. I like it just to run with my standard RYOBI batteries. I also like the feel of this little cordless knife. It's a good size. It has an easy little button. It's just not very powerful and can't cut through really hard things. It can do breads. I thought it'd be a good example to fit a RYOBI USB battery in. The first thing I did for the 18-volt conversion of the Cast King was to take the battery that came with it and 3D scan it with my RevoPoint scanner. I used the 3D scan model to help design the interface to the Cast King. Interfacing to the Cast King carving knife was a little bit harder. I had to make something to put contacts in and make it fit into the battery. I also wanted it to use the RYOBI 18-volt battery, so I needed the section for that and for locks to keep it in. I decided to use one of my existing projects that attaches to the 18-volt battery, so I didn't have to do that twice. I also, because it's 18 volts, had to get down to 12 volts. I had to leave space for a DC to DC converter. This is the RYOBI adapter for the Cast King. I've got it set up. I'm using support, and we'll get that printed. I've got my 24 volt to 12 volt converter. It's 10 amps max. And I'm getting it set to go into the adapter. So I've got to solder on two connectors here. I just need to crimp on some female connectors to connect to the RYOBI battery adapter. I've now slid the two connectors onto the plastic part. That's the part that goes in the tool. To make my life easier, I just reused one of my other 3D printed projects and I made it so it slipped inside here. That way. Normally the battery on this just slides in. So what I did is I made the equivalent of this end here, and then I used an existing print that I had that adapts to the 18-volt battery that slides in. That way I wouldn't have to design a different one. Then to give the battery a little more stability, I made another ring that fits in here. And so the battery just fits in, and then I put locking clips on either side. So the 18 volt can just slide into the little one-touch carving knife uses 6 AA batteries, so I had to make something that would slide into that interface, and also had this clip that keeps the cap on that I had to make. But on the other side, I wanted to work with my RYOBI USB single cell battery, so I designed this, and then I just didn't want to leave all that stuff open, so I made a cover for it too. I've got the 2 parts set up on the Prusa XL, and I'm using support. This is the cap for the little carving knife and the cover for it. This prototype, I wanted to use the USB battery. So normally this electric knife has 6 AA cells and has a cover that fits on here. So I 3D printed an equivalent that would fit in here, and then I made it so that the A cell would fit in, and then I made a cover that just goes over it to keep it clean. I put all my 3D designs up on Prusa's printables and the Thingiverse website, so you can see all my RYOBI projects and other ones there. Well, I hope we can convince RYOBI to make one of these carving knives. As usual, I'll put all the things I used in the description of the video, and I'll put all my 3D prints over on Prusa's printables or Thingiverse. Well, I hope this was helpful. If it was, please hit like and subscribe, and have a great day.